Hey, yeah, it's me. Y'all thought I was dead, didn't you? There was rumors going on. They said that dude, that Morgan died. People called him and everything. And having other people calling me. Well, I'm still here. Wait a minute, I might not be. This might be, might be something else. Maybe my guardian angel took over, kind of camouflaged himself as me and speaking for me. You never know. Anyways, I'm back. I had another year turnover yesterday on the 15th. I didn't put it on Facebook because I've been off for a long time. And the 15th of April is the month of Nisan, the first month of the Hebrew calendar. The real calendar. So spring, April, the end of March is actually the first of the year with Hebrews because it's spring. So the year starts in the spring, not like the Gregorian or the pagan Roman or whatever calendar that thing is. They start the new year in January, which is, think about it, it's kind of crazy. That's the coldest time of the year. It should be now. Yeah, so like anyway, you like my P on that hat? Yeah, that's for Panther. See, I'm the original Panther. My dad used to call me the Black Panther. And I didn't like it, but I like it now. So, he, and it is kind of weird that he was born in Pittsburgh. Now, his people are from Roanoke, like I is, but his father and his uncles went up to Pittsburgh to the steel mills to find work. So my dad was actually born there, and he came back, and then he dropped me and all that, and my sisters and all them. So yeah. So speaking of the Hebrews, you black folks, well, folks who call yourself black, like Americans, that could be the Americas. That could be from Canada all the way down through South America. If you call yourself black, do you know who you really are? Most of you don't. Do you know that you are in the scriptures as major players? Did you know that? Most of you don't. Because see, our culture and our history has been hijacked. We are called something that we're not. For example, Africa, or Cuba land, or whatever, was also called the land of the Negroes. The land of the Negroes started with Noah's son, Ham. He had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So a lot of folks don't want to admit it, or they think they know so much, but basically, Ham is the father of the blacks, so to speak. Shem is the father, more so the Arabs and the, people like that. Japheth, his other son, father of more like the whites. There's in between that, of course, but mostly the whites. So when the Tower of Babel was busted up and the Lord confused the languages, he confused the languages according to, he kept the language of each people or each tribe or each peoples, or etc. Their language was intact within themselves. So all of the Hamites spoke the same language. All of the Shemites spoke the same language, and all of the Japhetites or Japheth people, Noah's other son, spoke the same language. They just couldn't talk to each across the cultural or the racial lines, or however you want to put it. That's what caused confusion with the Tower of Babel. That's why they call it the Tower of Babel, because they were babbling. They couldn't understand each other, and it stopped the work. The Lord did that on purpose, because he told the folks when they came out of Noah's Ark, he said, hey, look here, y'all. Spread all across the flat earth. Yeah, the flat earth. Don't be fooled by that round foolishness. That's just pagan foolishness. I mean, how could the world be round like that, a ball, and if you get on the edge of it, you'd fall off? And water cannot settle on a round object. Water has to settle it on a flat surface, like a lake, stream, pool, ocean, river. It could be tilted down or whatever, or parallel, but it can't settle. Water can't settle on a ball. Come on, people. Take any kind of ball. Take your fist. Take a ball and run it across the water in the tub or whatever, sink or whatever. It's going to run off. But if you put a hole in the top and put the water in there, it'll fill up. So the earth is like a pie with crust around it. The crust around it will be the ice wall. The Lord put the ice wall around to help to absorb all that water that fell. Because remember, the Bible says what? The water came up 15 cubits above the highest mountain. So you have the pie-shaped round earth with, you can say, let's say a pie that has nuts and stuff in it. That would be like trees and whatever, buildings. But it's basically what you call a flat earth. Now there's hills and valleys, but the earth is what? A circular. And a circle is not a ball. That's a sphere. That's a spear. Understand? 360, a circle is what? 360. Starts at 1 and ends up there. Down here. Because the Bible said, he who looks upon the circle of the earth, and we are as grasshoppers. So don't be fooled. And it has a dome sitting on top. And it seals us in there. It seals us in our atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? So the Bible said that the water came from above and it came from underneath. And it filled up that Tupperware bowl with the pie in it, with the Tupperware bowl on top, so to speak, sealed in, and it filled the water. It filled it up. So that's what the Bible said. I didn't make it up. So let's get that straight right now. So, also, y'all been lied to about north, south, east, and west. China and Asia is not west on the left. It's above us. You got to go through Canada to get to China. Anyway, quit believing that stuff. That dome is called the firmament. And the sun and the moon are inside of it, rotating around at 90 degrees from each other. Right now, the sun is over here, the west. It started off in the east, and it's going all the way around. It's going to go all the way around again and come back here 24 hours later and start over. It'll be the east from here. That's what it's going to be. So quit believing that jive. And the sun and the moon are the same size. So instead of the moon being 230,000 miles away, 230,000 miles away, and it's some kind of rock, that's a lie. It's more like 3,300 miles away up in the sky. You look at what you see. The sun is the same distance and the same size. And then the Bible says he put in the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. The greater light is the sun, the lesser light is the moon. And he said he made the stars also. So the stars are above, at the very top of the firmament. And he said he placed them all in the firmament. So the Bible says during the flood, he opened up the windows of heaven. In other words, the universe is basically water. You are what? 55, 75% water? The earth is too? A little more? So wouldn't the universe be water? Because the Bible said that the Spirit of God was brewing, sort of like brewing, just the Spirit is coming around, and it was an uncontrolled mess. And then it said he formed the earth, and he separated the what? Waters from the waters. So you got water. He put a plate in between that solid looking glass, as the scriptures say, and he separated. And it came up and it sealed itself in the sky. He said he called it the top sky and the bottom earth. So it was just water. So he sealed us. It's almost like if you take let's say a balloon, and it's flat, it is mushy, and you blew it up real hard, and the air came in it, and it blew up inside of the water, but the water wouldn't get in. That's the way they make these bridges. They go down there and pump air in it. So that's what the earth is. And then he said he created the dry land, and then when the flood came, they had all that water filled up that ball inside, so he had to get rid of it. So the sun evaporated a lot of it and became clouds. That's what you see with the clouds. Those clouds are evaporated water from the flood. Then the Bible said great winds were blown. The wind just blew mightily and dried up a lot of the water. And then the rest of it, he made the ice wall. It's like pie crust. Like you got a pie, you got that crust around it like that. That's the ice wall of the earth, simulated. All right. So anyway, let me get back. Let me get back on there. So you folks that call yourself black people, whether you're Caribbean, South American, or Black American, Canadian American, or whatever, Canadian, excuse me, you're from the Americas. You are not who they tell you are. No, you're not. You've been lied to. Quit believing that lie. Because, for example, look at what they did with the movie of Moses movie, right? They made Pharaoh white. Come on, now, how is that going to happen? How is Pharaoh going to be white? Come on, folks. Egypt is in Africa. Those are black folks. Anyway, nowadays, for example, the so-called Hebrew people, different names, but they say they're Hebrew this and Hebrew that. They're claiming that we're all Africans, and that's partially true. We are Africans from Ham, Noah's son, and we are Shemites from Shem, and we married together and created this Hebrew people. Abraham started it all. He's a Shemite. He's from Shem, Shemitic or Semitic. Those folks over there talking about, we Semitic. You say anything about us, it's you anti-Semitic. They not Semitic. They Europeans. Let me keep going. So Abram brought his wife with him, Sarah. He told his servant, he said, go over to where I came from, over there in Paran Peninsula, over there, and get my son's wife from my own people, other Shemites. Kept it in the bloodline. Then Jacob, he fled from his brother Esau, and he went back to where his parents were from, his grandparents were from, and his parents were from, and he brought back two wives, Rachel and Leah. Just reading in the Bible. His father-in-law Laban took advantage of him. So what Jacob did, he took off without telling him. So when Laban found out, he caught up with him. So you didn't get a chance to kiss my kids goodbye and all that? So anyways, they built the big pillar of rocks. And because they were right inside of the border of what you call Canaan at that point. So they said was, Laban said, we will not cross over there to your side, and you will not cross over to our side. And the Mizpah came up. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent one from another. That came from Laban, Jacob's son-in-law, father-in-law, excuse me. Okay, at that point, they couldn't go back there to get their wives, so they had to marry Canaanite women. And Canaan is a part of Africa. Come on, because Canaan is one of Ham, the father of the black race. Ham, Noah's son, one of his sons, the father of the black race, had four sons. Canaan, Mitzrayim, which we call Egypt, that's the Greek word, Cush, or Ethiopia, and Put, which is Libya. Those are his four black sons. And they settled what David called later, he said it in Psalms twice. He called Egypt and he called Canaan the land of Ham. All right, so now you're talking about those four sons settled. Now this how it go. You got Africa right here, right? The Red Sea comes up in there, and that little thumb that comes down is from the continent of Africa, all down there. The Red Sea comes up, that's Canaan. That's a part of Africa. That's where these fake folks over there, these fake Jews are at. That's where they at. They took your land and renamed it by us, but they're not us. Come on now. So the Lord took away the nation of the Jews. The Jews are you. Okay? Because the Jews, okay, are the Israelites, and the Israelites are the what? Hebrews. So Abraham was called Abraham the Hebrew. It just means foreigner. He's just a foreigner, and he was a foreigner from the Paran Peninsula, over there with Babylon and Ur and all those places there. He was from that area. And he came to Canaan, or Canaan, settled there, and he was called Abraham the Hebrew, which means foreigner in the Canadian language. So now those Hebrews had to marry Canaanite or African women. That's when they merged. And they also merged the blacks and the Hebrews in Egypt. You see stories in Egypt where they're talking about the Egyptian, one Egyptian, his father was Egyptian, his mother was Hebrew, and he came into the camp when he didn't supposed to, and they got rid of him. I mean, he cussed out the priest and all that, and they stoned his behind. That was a brother. He said, I need to come into camp too, man. What y'all holding me out for, man? Those were us. They talk like us. Never mind. But anyway, so now, since Judah became the heir apparent, in other words, he's going to be who the Messiah is going to come through. It's supposed to come through the oldest, but Reuben slept with one of his father's concubines, which is his wife. So he said, no, not you. Simeon and Levi, they're the ones who started this war. In other words, their sister Diana, they had one sister. It was 12 boys, one girl. She decided to go chill, I'm going to see the girls in the lane, see what the girls doing. See, don't be going in the hood. If you're in the church, don't be going in the hood, see what the girls are doing. That's what she did. So the king of that little country right there, son saw her and said, "Googers and moogers. Well, that's fatter than a bottle of wine on this prime on time." So he went and took her in and said, "I'm in love." He was singing Al Green. Why I'm so. Let me stop. So anyway, he laid with her. Now when she came back, well, anyway, he sent a message back, told his dad, "I want her. I want to marry her." So remember, Jacob had 2 wives, and he had 12 sons by 4 different women. 2 were his wives, Rachel and Leah, and 2 were their concubines that they gave him to mate with, to have children. That's what they did. Don't you do that? You can't do that no more. Okay? You don't do that. So, anyways, so what happened was basically, so Simeon and Levi, that was their full sister, Diana. So what did they do? They say, "Well, oh yeah, oh you can have her. Y'all got to be circumcised." You know what circumcised is? They cut off the end of your ding, your foreskin. Now they do that to us when we babies. We don't know. We don't feel it. I guess. I mean, we feel it, but if you get circumcised with a sharp knife, and they used to make knives out of slate stone, and they cut off the foreskin of your. Woo! Them boys was hopping around. Oh, ooh. Remember this Three Stooges? They were messed up for like 3 days. They were messed up. So what happened was this. They came in there, and while all the men were sore, they killed the whole nation. They killed all of them. Simeon and Levi. Now, they weren't by themselves because all of them had servants. They were rich. And maybe the other brothers came, I think they came too. But Simeon and Levi, so the Lord told Jacob, they're not going to be, neither one of them going to the heir through the Messiah, or, through the so-called genealogy throne. So then it passed to Judah, the 4th born. So what the Bible does is, when they want to concentrate on something, they'll focus on it, like they'll do a story. So they focus on Judah. And so what Judah, the story picks up, his wife had died, his Canaanite wife had died. He met a good old buddy, a Canaanite, a black Canaanite. Remember, all the Canaanites are black. All the Egyptians were black. The Ethiopians were even blacker. They called them Cushites. Burnt means burnt face. They was blacker than all of them. Okay. So his best buddy. So he was like, man, I gotta find me a wife for my. He was saying for his sons, because he had 3 sons from his wife who died. So they found a woman named Tamar, a Canaanite black girl. Tamar. Don't that sound black? Tamar. Come on, like Tammy. That's Canaanite for Tammy. Stop it. Leave y'all alone. So anyway, so his sons from his wife didn't necessarily go along with the Yahwehan or the Yahweh God doctrine. They probably didn't want to get circumcised, nothing like that. So the Bible says that the Lord killed his firstborn. What that means is he allowed the boy to cease to exist because he wasn't holding the covenant, the Yahwehan covenant. He probably went with his mother's side of religion, which was paganism. So then gave her Tamar, his daughter-in-law, his daughter-in-law, to his second son. And the Bible said when he jumped on them bones, he pulled out and spilled all that silly putty on the ground, all that mustard on the ground. So the Lord, because see, there was a doctrine says if your brother dies without an heir, then you go into his wife, you know, exactly. And that baby to come out is in his heritage, in his name. And that boy, the second boy, didn't want to do that, so the Lord got rid of him. The third boy was younger than the other two. So he told Tamar, I'll give you him as soon as he grows up. But he never did, because he was afraid the Lord might kill him too. So Tamar got smart. She dressed up like a hoe. Yeah, I said hoe. There was black folks in that hole. And so she put a little tent up, put a little red little thing on it, string or whatever, which means open for business. He synced it. Okay, Judah, remember, Judah was single, I guess your brother, so he went on in there. And so when they finished, he said, I'm gonna send you a goat for pay. See that, a lamb or a goat, I think it was a lamb. That's good pay for that one hit. Because see, that lamb, you could drink the milk from it. You could, when it gets big, you could shear that wool and, make clothes and sell them or make them for yourself. And then when that right time comes, you can just go ahead and eat them. She said, well, how do I know you're going to come back, my man? He said, she said, tell you what, leave all of your stuff here so all your ID stuff. So he had a signet ring that had his probably, because he was called Judah the Lion, so he probably had a lion image on his signet ring that he was stamped on stuff, pop. And he also had his staff that had this carving on it, who he was. And he had bracelets that he had his signet on there. And she said, leave all of that. He said, all right, he gave her all that. I'll be back. So he sends his buddy to the tent. And when they get there, ain't no tent. So he asked people, he said, was that a hoe up, little chick? See, they covered their face up, by the way, veiled their faces. That's why he didn't recognize it was Tamar, his daughter-in-law. See what I'm saying? So it was like, so his boy brought back the lamb, and they say, ain't been no hoe around here. Ain't been no hoe around here. No, man, no, bro. It wasn't no hoe, bro. So he messed around and went back and told Judah. Then the word came back that Tamar was pregnant. You see, in the East, in Africa, not the East, Africa. The Middle East doesn't exist, by the way. There's no Middle East. That's Africa over there. So anyways, over in Africa, to this day, the patriarch has control over the whole lot. In other words, his children and whoever married into his family was under him. So he said, what? You bring that bee here, I'm gonna kill her. So they went and got her. He said, you played the whore on my, in other words, on my son. She said, well, yeah, I did. I am. Come on. She said, yeah, I did have sex with somebody. I had sex with the man that owns these, and she poured out all of his stuff that he had left. He went, oops, you're a better person than me. I should have gave you my son. So he impregnated his daughter-in-law. And so the Judean line, which eventually going to lead to the Christ, continues through Tamar, a Canaanite. Later on, I'm running out of time. I only got 7% left on this phone here. I should have had more on it. All right. So like what happened was when later on when they finally came into the Canaan land, I'm going to go fast, they marched around, they went into Jericho to spied out, and this prostitute whose apartment was right at the wall. See, so you saw her because she had a red thing in her window. So as soon as you came in the gate, you knew if you was trying to, get within the house, in the hood, you go up there to Rahab joint. She saw them, and so she said, these are the people from Israel. So when somebody else said, oh, those people from the camp spying out, they ran. She said, hey, come on up here. So they came downstairs and ran up, and she took a big thing of hay and put it over something. And they came up there and said, you see them dudes? She said, no, I ain't see them. I ain't see them. So she told her, she said, look, we scared of y'all. We know what y'all did to Egyptians. Y'all did to that king of, whatever, that big old king that was like 9 feet tall. We know what y'all did to all them giants. We shaking in our boots. He said, oh, really? He said, yeah. He said, I believe in your God. Don't play these clothes on. I know I'm a hoe, but I believe. They said, okay, tell you what. Since you're a believer now, and you profess, we're going to save you. So hang a big, thick red rope in your window. And when we come in, because the wall's coming down, we're going to come in. We're going to save you and whoever else. So they saved her and her whole family. Because they came in. The walls came tumbling down, old Jericho, that song and all that. So what happened was, one of the spies was from Judah. He married her. So now you got another black person in the lineage. He married her. So you come on down, and then you had David, a mother-in-law, great-grandmother, Naomi, brought in a Moabite. A Moabite was from the descendants of Abraham's nephew Lot. I gotta go fast. So what happened was this. One thing led to another. You had Jesse, and then Jesse had David, King David. And then it comes on down the line till you had Mary, who was from the house of David. You had Joseph from the house of David. Of course, Jesus came through her bodily flesh. But Mary's line wasn't from the king. It was from royalty. David had 19 sons. So it came from royalty, but not through Solomon the king directly. So Joseph was. So Joseph had to adopt Jesus in order to make him a legitimate heir to the throne of David. Okay? So now, by that time, the Jewish nation, the nation that split into two, Judah with Benjamin and the Levites, they kept Jerusalem, and then the other 10 tribes, what we call the 10 tribes, they separated from them. After King David died, I'm sorry, not after he died, Solomon was the heir, and then after Solomon died, the nation split up, okay? So now you got the Judeans, which is really what they're called. The term Jew came about in the 18th century. but I'll use it anyway. So the Judeans or the Jews, those are the black Canaanites and the Shemites who merged together to create Hebrews, Israelites, Judeans, and then Jews. So when Jesus came down, he had both in him. Shemite, Hamite. All of his disciples did. They were brothers. You see the way they act? Peter and all of them. They was rough. James and John, Jesus called them the sons of thunder. They was ready to throw down. Them dudes, they walking around. What you say? And Peter was the same way. Remember, Peter cursed when he got under pressure. They was fishermen. They was out there raw hands made out of beef, with raw hands. Big, strong, bad bros. They were dudes, black dudes. So then later on, 40 years later, when Titus came in and destroyed the nation of the Jews, then they scattered. They were already scattered, but they scattered. They went to Egypt. They went to Portugal, Spain. They went into Africa, deep in and came out on the east coast of Africa, the west coast of Africa, which is like Ghana, the Ghana kingdom, and Nigeria and all that. And they mingled and merged. They got together with the blacks that were there, called Hamites. And so, but the Jew boys, black boys, who were mixed, but just as black as the other ones, but they had a different culture. They kept the Sabbath. They did circumcision, Sabbath over the seventh-day Sabbath, which is still in existence now. They ate clean food. In other words, they didn't eat pork and all that. They didn't eat crabs. They ate clean food. In other words, cows and lambs and goats, and they ate birds. If there was birds, they ate pigeons and doves. If they ate fish, the fish had the fins and scales, and they were experts in economy. So they came over and took over everybody's economy. So when a white man came looking for slaves to take to this so-called New World, the black Hamites sold the Hebrews or the Jews. And that's who came on the ships. But they renamed y'all Negroes, from the land of the Negroes. But you're not Negroes, you're Hebrews. And there's a book, the brother, what he called it, From Hebrew to Negro. That's real. So, and some of them were already here. Some of y'all, a lot of the Hamites came here already. But a lot of the Jews who fled, they came across the Atlantic Ocean through that swirl, it's called the jet stream, that goes between America and Africa. The tornadoes travel on that jet stream, circling around. So now, when the slave traders dropped off these black people, they didn't drop a lot of them in what you call North America here, because there was already thousands of black folks already here called natives. Then you had the red man came down from Mongolia, okay? Came from Mongolia, and they came through the west coast, came down through the Bering Strait, came down through the west, and settled California. They pushed in. The black folks who had already come here came from the Atlantic Ocean and came, and they were meeting, they were mingling, okay? But they didn't drop off a lot of slaves here because they were already blacks, and they enslaved the blacks that were already here. And those blacks took America to court, say, we're not them. We didn't come over here on a slave ship. We were already here. One of the main ones was, look him up, Dred Scott. And I'm down here in Huntsville, Alabama. There's a university that I went to here called Oakwood University, and they have his homestead, Dred Scott, on their property where their graveyard is. So now, see, the rest of those black Hebrews, they dropped them down in the Caribbean and down there in South America, okay? So Americans here, West Indies, and Canada, South America are Hebrews. But some of the blacks were already here. So we can't say that we all Hebrews. Some of us are Maybe most of us are. Because they dropped off, I hear, 200, 300,000 out of the 10 million. Maybe they dropped 1 million off here. But the word is maybe less. And the rest of those 9 million and plus they dropped off in the Caribbean and South America, there's more. That's why South America has the second amount of black folks, especially Brazil, than Africa. They're in second place. Africa got most blacks. They got the second amount. So they stole our land. They stole our culture. They stole our name and renamed us, and we still going for it. Stop it. Stop putting all that, women, stop putting all that mess in your hair, straightening your hair, looking like your oppressor. Stop it. If you want to have long hair, then braid that stuff skinny and have long hair and make a ponytail and put it up and whatever. You are a Hebrew, most likely. Most likely you're a Hebrew. And this is the litmus test. A lot of us are Sabbath keepers. I keep the Shabbat. I keep the Sabbath. The Bible said it never changed. Because the Ten Commandments was written by who? God himself with his own finger in stone, which means it's not to be changed. Don't be fooled. Sunday is a pagan day of worship of the sun. So when you go into church on Sunday, they put the word together to throw you off. That's pagan. Started way back with Nimrod. Come on now, he's supposed to went to the sun when he died and controlled the sun, and so did his son Horus, all that old stuff. And then coming on down to the to the Romans, this thing is at 3%. I better stop. So I believe people like myself and the other millions of blacks who keep Shabbat, it's in our DNA. That's why we're doing it. All right, let me finish this thing. It's 3%. Later on, I'll catch y'all later.